All right, what up, Lemon Heads? Welcome to Vice City FC. This is season 2, episode 3. I'm your boy Fungus. I'm joined today by our resident Inner Miami expert reporter extraordinaire over there, Xavi Guerrero, XG La Voz. What's up, Xavi? How's it going, bro?
What's up? How you doing? How's everybody? Gus, how's it going?
Can't complain, bro. Can't complain. Getting ready, to talk a little footy with you. I'm excited for this MLS season, man. To be honest with you, it's been a long time since there's been excitement in soccer here, to leading up into an MLS season,
A
right? I
lot of
think
hype. A lot of hype. Yeah.
yeah, I think since they announced the team and we were getting ready to start the season, but then that kind of got taken over by the pandemic a little bit, right? But hey, here we are. We're gonna start off the season with Messi. With the rest of what's the name we're going with?
I don't know, but you know what? Later, towards the end of the show, because I put it out there on the Twitter feed. I asked, hey,
Yeah,
I try to make it, Messi and the Fantastics, give it a little jazzy feel, and people are like, nah, they're not
they didn't
feeling
like
it.
it.
Some people didn't feel it, so they don't have good taste. I can't do anything about that. So I said, okay, guys, help me out, show some creativity, and give me
Mhm.
some names, and maybe we'll toss out Lemon City Live shirt. So I got a couple. Didn't get too many, but I got a few, and some of them are funny. Some of them are outright just like trying to clobber the
Oh,
guys. A little bit of hate,
yeah.
but it's funny. Like we're gonna have to go now. Stay with Messi and friends,
Okay.
or
So what are you gonna do at the end of the show?
Fantastic Four. Yeah,
At
a
the end
little
of
bit
the
of
show, are
those.
you gonna announce what it is?
I'm gonna say some of them. I mean, unless you want me to say them now,
Yeah, let's go.
and we
Let's
get
go through it right
okay,
now.
okay. So I got a list of some of them that I thought were funny. I mean, the first one was the Golden Boys. That's our boy Gafetito, but he put the Golden Boys, obviously talking about the Golden Girls, the
Uh-huh.
seniors group.
Here's
This,
look. Every time I read your tweets, it's messy, and I finish it in my mind with "and the Fantastics." So please keep it.
all right. We got a fan. Okay,
Shout
maybe
out to Tata.
maybe I'll win the shirt myself.
Maybe
You
you'll
know?
win the
Look, I like it, just like Messi and the Fantastics, and I think of that a little jazz in the back.
uh
Beck's Golden Balls too.
There you go.
The other one, King Messi and the Round Table. Huh?
Mm.
Four, four for the money. This guy's a little cynical there, right?
Yeah.
That's Heron four. Eh. The Goat and the Barca Herons. The former, this one's funny. The former Fantastic Four. You know,
There you
when, when I read this one, I was thinking the artist formerly known as the Barca Superstars.
Yeah.
Um, the Century Village Crew. That's cruel.
Oh,
That,
that's messed up.
that's pretty cruel. They're not that old. I mean, Messi's gonna be 37 soon
Yeah.
this year. Uh, today, the other goal for many people, Cristiano Ronaldo's 39.
39. Today's his birthday.
39. Yeah, and the funny thing is, today's his, Neymar, and Carlos Tevez, like all studs.
They all have
So
birthdays today.
they all, yeah, every year I always hear about them three. And imagine, if I have a kid born on the fifth, I'm already thinking payday.
Oh, for
Pay.
sure.
Okay, so we left off at the Century Village Crew, which I thought was
Uh-huh.
a little cruel, and then Barca Seniors. So it's like Barca
Oh,
Seniors.
okay.
They're knocking on these guys. Some of them
Yeah.
were a little funny. I like Messi and the Fantastic. I think it's I'm gonna do like a little theme song for that too. I'm still gonna,
Hmm.
but people are pushing back and like, hey, it's not working. So
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see what the people. We give the people what they want. Give the people what they want. But those are
This
some of
is
the
true.
names that were popping up, and we're not done yet with the contest.
Yeah. All right. All right. We'll see where it goes. So when we left off the team, they were, they had just embarked on their preseason tour. They tied at El Salvador. They lost to FC Dallas. They lost a close one to Al Hilal. And then after our last show, they went and they played against Al Nasser and they got embarrassed 6-0. All right.
Wallop.
So
They
before
got
we talk
wallop.
about the match at Hong Kong, let's talk a little bit about that Al Nasser game. People were up in arms, bro. They were very upset about how they performed in that match. What
Yeah.
was your message in your article?
What I just wrote an article that you guys can go check out on lemoncitylive.com and also on my Twitter at xglavos. I think you can overreact in a preseason game. And why these guys, once they get back home, they would have traveled over 25,000 miles. Basically, like they're putting in this little tour what you traveled during the season. They're all the way around the other side of the world, away from home, getting adjusted to time change. They're playing in the home stadium for these teams for Al-Nassr, and they're playing against a team that's stacked. I mean, imagine if Cristiano Ronaldo was playing; it would have been 12 goals. A team that's
Yeah.
stacked, that the payroll is much more than what Inter Miami can do, and it doesn't really show the true difference between the leagues. I think that's a very stacked team. On that side of the world is one of the better teams there,
Hmm.
and Miami's just getting into the flow. So they went in there like little lambs, getting slaughtered by the wolf. It was going to happen. I didn't expect a 6-0. I'll tell you that. I didn't expect it to
Yeah.
be that bad. So it exposed a lot. The first thing it exposed was how uncomfortable, the Inter Miami is in that back line of five, how vulnerable they are, because they're still not they don't grasp the concept, and I don't think they have the players to
Hmm.
play that and ask for a guy like Kristaps to press high, to go up high and press, and then get a one-on-one with one of these super fast guys. Even Toto Aviles, um, Tomas. I've been a
Hmm.
little disappointed with him on this trip because I expected him as one of the younger guys, supposedly a little faster, a little more agile. He has not done well in that system. He doesn't look
Hmm.
comfortable in the system. He looks a little clumsy sometimes trying to give the ball out when there's so much pressure. When he played as the actual center back, and when they were doing the five, they do a little, he looks a little better. But
Hmm.
now in this game where there was in the 4-3-3, which is the more natural um, system that this team understands and has the personnel, I think, for that, he looked better. He looked
So
better.
I have a question for you.
Go
Do
ahead.
you think Tata Martino is trying to implement something that is very complex and he's going to see how much he needs to tone it down, or is he building up to what will eventually be the more complex system and he's trying to teach them
I think
right
he's
now how
using
to
it. I think
implement it?
yeah, I think he's using this period to
Hmm.
use it to because what is the reputation to keep going. But
Hmm.
he after the last game he said it. Look, I know they're much more comfortable in the 4-3. He knows it. So I
Yeah.
believe that that's what they're going to play in the season. They're gonna
Hmm.
switch to that five in the back at times during games. I would imagine if they're in a 2-1 lead with in the 80th minute, they might make some subs and go for the five in the back. I don't think they're gonna start, like they did this games, in the 5-3-2. I think they're gonna go four
Yeah.
three three more often, sometimes 4-2-3-1, and
Yeah.
I
Four
think
in the
that
back.
suits.
Four in the back is honestly what everybody defaults to when they're unsure of what style, how to set up your team. Four in the back, bro. That's what you learn since youth, since you're a kid. That's like the first formation that you learn.
And
So
yeah, when you have and one thing I noticed a little bit about Busquets, he's been a little
mhm,
bit off this preseason. He hasn't had like
yeah.
a great preseason, at least
Do
in
you
my
think
estimation.
you think he underestimated the speed of MLS? Because honestly, like yeah, the
Yeah,
MLS players are not as technical, but they're still American
the
players are
speed
are fit.
the speed and physicality.
Yeah.
He's had a few times where
Mhm.
he's really short to giving up the ball in very vulnerable positions for Miami when he gets it. And another thing is, I think they look too much for him. Sometimes the
Mhm.
ball's forced in to him,
Mhm.
from the back, and I think that they can play elsewhere. They can play up. They
Yeah.
can play to somebody else. I think they need to stop being so dependent on him. Obviously, he's an all-time great. I
Yeah.
mean, you got all time these Barca. That's why they call them fantastic, right? They're all time
Mhm.
greats in their positions, each
Yeah.
one throughout their careers. Obviously, they're in the twilight of their career, so it's not the same thing. I think he's a little bit slower, and his mind is still super fast, and he
Mhm.
thinks he can still. Uh,
Mhm.
but he's
Yeah.
also, he's also, getting into the flow. He's the one when
Mhm.
he gets it, everything's clear. He knows how to put the ball. He knows where to put it for Messi.
Mhm.
So he's still an all time great. but I would like for them to not just focus just on him. It's easy, kind of easy to defend that. When you're
Yeah.
pressing and they're going to go to him. Um,
So you think they're too predictable right now?
at that point, yes. At this
Hmm.
point, they are. I think the game with the Hong Kong team, which is
Hmm.
more of a team, more on the level of a MLS team, actually,
Hmm.
kind of.
Hmm.
Um, and look, the odds were stacked against them because it's a team that was just put together, right? Playing
Yeah.
against a team that's been together, has practiced, was mostly the same team last season. A couple.
You're talking about the Al
The
Nasser.
Hong Kong team, yeah, no, the Hong Kong team.
Oh,
The
okay.
Al Nasser had all the advantage against Inter Miami,
Yeah.
and that's why they wowed them. But
Hmm.
the Hong Kong team is more of like a MLS level team, and then they were at a disadvantage, and they lost 4-1. So the tour, all the results are not super important. You do
Yeah.
want to see improvement, and I think we have. I think we've seen some positive things, especially from David Reese, right? And in this last game,
That's been the best surprise, I think, is the play of David Ruiz.
I think that he showed a little something last season. He showed he has some moxie. He has a
Hmm.
personality,
Yeah.
of one of those guys that wants to be, the man. And he has some skills. He has some skills. And I'll
Hmm.
tell you now, like we did before, I saw something in Lost on Sutherland. I thought he showed. I mean, he's tall, kind of lanky, but he's gonna build. He's gonna fill in a little bit. But there's something to that kid. And then when you have Boatwright coming
Sunderland, you're
in,
talking about.
yeah, Sunderland,
Okay.
Boston Sunderland. He scored the second goal. I
Yeah.
like him. I think there's something to him. I think he could be a surprise like Greece as he continues to
Hmm.
develop. And Boatwright on the right, he does what he did at least what I want Yellen to do more, which is get it and be aggressive, forcing the issue forward, making
Yeah.
that defender back up. Instead of getting it facing and then passing it back, or just
Hmm.
trying to go to the corner and kick the ball in. Yeah, he does have good ball progression. I think he has good spatial awareness, and he's aggressive. He tried to take a couple of shots. There's something to that kid. There's something
And you
to that
know
kid.
what? Honestly, if like how you said, he has good spatial awareness. That's exactly what you need in this system that they're trying to run. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? It's all about creating space. So if he
yeah.
has that, then he should be able to get a lot of minutes.
Who's been a little disappointing is Gressel, right? He came in with a lot of hype, a lot of
Hmm.
fanfare. He hasn't played terrible because I see people knocking him. Oh, he sucks.
Hmm.
He doesn't suck. He hasn't played great. He hasn't played how we expect him to play. But he's not.
Yeah.
He's not a bad player. What I was a little bit surprised is that he came in and he was immediately over Taylor. I put that. I put out in a tweet. I asked, hey, this guy,
Hmm.
it's the third game. Has he done enough to be over Taylor? And I didn't think so because I thought Taylor, when he hooked up with Messi, like he looked fantastic. Like he
Oh, in those
understood.
in those league matches, dude.
Yes, they understood each other. And look at the goal that he scored.
American all those teams.
Yeah, exactly. So on the left side where he can cut in
Yeah.
and do his thing, that's where they got to use him. But
Hmm.
they use him all over the field. But that's his spot. I
So
think
do you
that's the
think
guy.
is it between Gressel and Robert Taylor for the starting position?
At the moment, with what's available, yes. I think
Yeah.
once everybody comes back, there'll be some other names to pot. And I also think that there are gonna be some moves before February 21st.
Okay.
They opened up a couple. They did the trade where they traded McVay away. I thought McVay could be a good
Hmm.
player in the league, but if the coach doesn't have confidence in him, or doesn't really
Yeah.
see him in his system, he gave him away for he got something back, which is very important, international roster spot.
Yeah.
They have two, so I'm sure something's cooking with Henderson and the team, and hopefully they bring in somebody that's up to par and can help the team.
Yeah, man. I mean, we've seen that players, no, not necessarily big name players, but guys in some of the bigger leagues are willing to come to MLS in their prime, right? Or like I think Orlando City just signed, or they're close to signing a guy from Atalanta in Serie A.
Muriel, el Colombian. As a matter of
Uh
fact,
huh.
he's actually the cousin of a friend of mine.
No way,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
bro.
It's
Let's
funny
get him on the
because
show. Get him on the show, bro.
because his now that you mention it, I'll give it a try because my friend's
Yeah.
last name is Muriel, and at this like years ago,
Hmm.
when he was coming up, I said, hey, this guy's got your last name from the they were some same part of town in Colombia.
Yeah,
He goes, yeah, he's my cousin. It's like, oh shit, cool,
that's
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Well, one thing, and the fans from Inter Miami are not gonna be happy. I think Orlando City, is he's only 32. The thing is, he's been out forever. He's been around forever, but he can still
Mhm.
move. He can still motor, and I think for MLS, he'll be fine. Like I
Well,
think he
Orlando
could
fans will
dominate.
be happy to hear that.
Orlando, I think low key has
Hmm.
built a solid, or is building a lot. Lodeiro's a little older too. He's what 34. It's
Yeah.
solid veteran, but he can still move. I mean, in the preseason, he's been playing well. He's been
Hmm.
giving some good passes. He's been playing, so it's
Yeah.
a high level
No,
thing. I think
Orlando has they do a good job building up their roster, and you
they
can
do.
even Duncan McGuire, he's probably going to go to England to
Yeah,
play over there, even though it's not San Antonio. They keep hitting roadblocks, but
it's
we'll see how
crazy,
that
man.
goes.
That's
But if he
crazy.
ends up staying, that's a huge attacking power for Orlando, man. That guy's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, he's a good
Hmm.
player. He's a good player. But like you were saying, I think overall this season there's a lot of hype because the league is building. You see other teams bringing in young players from Europe,
Yeah,
young
yeah.
22, 23 with some experience that are coming here to develop and try to make the jump back. And
Yeah.
you've seen that there's some of the American players that were there are coming here now to get more
Hmm.
time, more playing time. So the league is getting tougher. It's going to be tougher for Inter Miami. I mean, they didn't make the playoffs last season, but I think that was because you got the goat
Well,
injured for the last 8 games, like not the last 8 games, but for like 8 games during the stretch where they were going to
not
make a run for the
yeah,
playoffs.
but not even that. They started
Oh,
that run
miserable.
from the back of the pack. They started off the season terribly.
From
It
the
was gonna be
back
hard.
with weights on, and the way it
Exactly.
is like
It was gonna be
terrible.
hard for Messi and everyone else to get them into the playoffs even healthy. So the fact that Messi missed a few games because of injury, that killed it right there.
And that's the worrisome thing now. You have to as a team. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
It's all over the place. I mean, they're getting a lot of good talent into the league, young
Yeah.
European talent, mixing it with this young South American talent, with this young American. I think the league is gonna continue to flourish
And
and be
it's
a
little
little
by
more
little.
exciting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and little,
but
little
it's
by
been
little it's
happening
gonna
for the last
grow.
mhm,
Yeah,
almost
last
30
30,
years,
30
right?
years. Yeah, yeah. But that's how you grow it correctly. Like anything else, you can't do it overnight. That, like, I feel like that's what Saudi Arabia is trying to do with their league. They're trying to just grow it overnight. But we've seen, because China and with the Chinese Super League try to do the same thing, and it didn't work out for them. We've seen that style of growing a league before, and it doesn't work. So you got to do it little by little, man. Grow it the right way.
Yeah, no, absolutely, I agree with you. And now,
Hmm.
when you're talking about Nassar, a team that's very, constructed to win a championship team, and they put it on Miami. They put it on a team that was outmanned and
Hmm.
didn't have the weapons to counter.
But
I think that, go ahead.
it doesn't make sense. I don't know what Saudi Arabia's long term plan is, but they're spending all that
I
money
I
for
don't think
what?
there
to
is.
to win the Saudi league. They're not. What are they? Where are they going to go past that? Maybe if
The
maybe they
Club
could win
World
a
Cup.
Club World Cup. That's
That's
it. That's the
I
only
think
other
I
thing.
think that's what
But it's not like they're getting a whole bunch of eyes on that league, because really they only have those two teams that Miami played against. All the other teams are garbage from what I hear. You
yeah,
know
yeah. Yeah, it's not like there's a mass appeal, to to
exactly.
to
They don't have
watch
that.
to watch the league. Obviously, people are going to say that MLS is because of Messi, which is true, right? How many millions of eyes shifted and focused on MLS just
Hmm.
because of Messi? Yes, but you know
That's
what?
true.
But you know what? Now they've seen it, and sometimes you can't unsee things,
Yeah.
and it'll stay there. And MLS is a kind of it's an entertainment league. It's kind
Hmm.
of like to me, I'm not comparing them like Premier League in years ago where it was a lot of physical up and down. They weren't as technical. They weren't
Hmm.
as pretty as they are now. The Premier League, you have them going up and down the whole time, but they have very beautiful football, very
Yeah.
very technical football. Even the
A lot more
obviously
technical than it was
than it
20
was
years ago.
before. So I
Yeah.
see MLS kind of like that and I think it could keep growing. Obviously, the money makes a difference. If the budget, if the money grows also, then
Hmm.
you'll see the league grow, and there's a lot of people that want to come down here, right? I mean,
Hmm.
you got top, like you were saying, there's top players out. They'll come to Miami, they'll come to LA, they'll come to New York, they'll go to different places if the money's right,
Yeah,
because they
of course.
USA, if the
But
money's
that,
right,
and
then
that's the thing. You got to build up. You got to build up the league. The money needs to be there long term. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, Saudi Arabia, they're trying to diversify so they're not fully, what's it called? So they're not relying on oil as their whole economy relying on oil. So that you see them spending money in the Premier League. You see them buying the Live Golf tour. You see them merging with the PGA, and now you see them trying to promote their own soccer league.
they're trying to go
But
global too. Like it's like what
and
Miami's
then,
trying to do, right? What
yeah,
the
but I
MLS
think
is trying to
but
do.
I don't think they're doing it correctly. Throwing money like that all at once, thinking that people are gonna be like, oh, forget the Premier League, let me watch the Saudi league. It takes time to build up things that stick with people, and
Yeah,
that's why I think MLS is doing it the right way because they're building it little by little, brick by brick. They're building fan bases. You know what I mean?
yeah.
The Saudi league feels to me like kind of like a sideshow. Like, oh shit, let me look at this. This looks entertaining. Let me see it once, and then I'll probably never see it
It doesn't look. It doesn't feel organic. That it's growing organically. That it's
again.
happening. It's building up. No, we'll see. We'll see what. I mean, you have some players that have gone over there and now want to come back.
Yeah,
They've been there
that's
for.
another reason why it's gonna be tough for them to grow.
We'll see. We're not. I mean, why? What are we? Why are we talk about the Saudi league? Because of who? Neymar. Because of Cristiano
Hmm.
and the other guys that followed. Right.
Yeah,
So now we're talking about MLS because you got the biggest name in sports, Messi here, and in a city that's a growing, city. It wants
yeah,
to be at par when you talk about New York. When you talk about California, LA, Miami wants to be there,
of
and
course.
cities don't want us there, but Miami
Hmm.
wants to be there, and it's pushing its way up. I mean, it's
Yeah,
pushing its way up. This is a very ambitious but risky project Inter Miami has taken, right? With all these
yeah,
players, bring them in, the
because it's
eight,
boom or bust.
100%. And then
You know what I mean?
what's the plan after? You have
Exactly.
BM we have before
Hmm.
Messi, and then we're gonna have AM after Messi. What's the plan after Messi? You know, and I'll tell you something. I felt a little bit better as I was writing the article. I'm thinking, okay, there shouldn't be so much panic. It's just preseason. They're missing players. They have the odds stacked against them. And then I said,
Hmm.
something? During this season, I think there might be a surprise as far as some of these young guys are going to help carry the team if in case some of these guys are injured. I think there's talent. There's enough talent for these guys to compete. I think there's enough talent to compete,
Hmm.
and I think those guys are developing and will still be here and will be the core structure for the team. You saw in the 4-3-3 when they started the game, Miami looked so much faster, looked quicker, both defending, attacking. Because when you have
Hmm.
Busquets on the 5-3-2, it's like it's a 5-2-2. Although he's
Hmm.
a pretty good defender, he
Yeah,
he is, but you don't want to blow him just doing all that running defending because his thing is
of
to,
course. Yeah.
but he's actually been a pretty good solid defender. He's not just a scrub, that he's just there. No? When he's
I
there
mean,
in front of people,
he's tall. So if he reaches
he
out with
knows the
his
game.
if his leg reaches out to steal a ball,
Yeah, I know, and he
more
knows the
often than
game.
not,
He knows the game. He
exactly.
understands the game. He knows where to be, where to be positioned.
Yeah. Yeah.
uh
Xavi, is there any concern that there could be a divide between Messi and the Fantastics and the rest of the roster? Your friend Franco felt this, but it was his opinion.
um from what I've heard and from what you see that's reported, they're
Hmm.
very accessible. The guys have been very down to Messi, very down to earth, a
Hmm.
humble person. Can there be resentment? Absolutely, right? It's only human. You're only human. You're there. Let's. I'm going to give you an example. Not that I've heard any resentment or any. I'm just going to
Hmm.
throw out a name. Noah Allen. Noah Allen's a kid that's come up through the academy and he's been on the team a little bit now, right? He's been there a
Hmm.
minute, so he's you can consider him a veteran, even though he's just 19, and he's one of the few guys that has played pretty good throughout this tour. And actually, I thought the Hong Kong game was his best game, and he played in his normal position, which is left back, right?
Okay.
The other games
Hmm.
he's played left center back. He's played more inside, and he has to stay back, and he looked a little more uncomfortable there. But he's a guy.
Is that due to the formation change?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely, 100%. And what's my point with him? He's a kid that's making like the minimum that you can make at his position, and
Yeah.
he's played every single game. He's played lots of minutes on this tour. He played a lot last season, and he's going to be expected, I think, to contribute a lot. Can
Hmm.
he feel resentment because Suarez comes in making I don't know what? Well, he could, but Suarez, they all those guys have earned that. Could it
Yeah,
be?
of course.
It can be because of human nature, but do I think it's happening? No, because the team looks like it's a together team. It looks like those guys have taken those players in. Look at the goal when
Hmm.
David Ruiz scored the third goal against
Yeah.
Al Hilal. Who were the guys hugging him, and who was he hugging with? He was
Oh,
hugging with
it was
Messi,
Jordi Alba and Messi.
and they're hugging him
Hmm.
and hyping him up,
And Jordi Alba was giving him that pep talk right before he scored that goal.
exactly, and it looks
So
genuine. It doesn't look
if
like they're
there,
there
yeah,
really. No,
if
no,
there's resentment, I don't. If there's resentment on a team, I don't
I
think
don't.
it's
I
one
don't see
group
it.
and another. It's probably individuals, maybe. But I
Maybe
think for the most part, the young guys, at least from what I've seen,
they
the young guys
admire
have
these guys. But
embraced, of course.
dude, you know what it is? From one day you're playing in the academy, the next day you're playing with perhaps the greatest player of all time,
That's
perhaps the
insane,
best
bro.
left back, the best number five, one of the
Hmm.
best forwards in the history of the who you're playing with these guys. I don't think you have time to feel resentment. You're like,
No.
oh shit, and they look and they're talking to these kids.
Hmm.
And Luis Suarez with his press conference, he mentioned that part of the legacy that they want to leave is that showing these kids the ropes, telling me. I mean, he said
Of
that
course.
in the press conference. So
All those guys, the Messi, Busquets, Jordi Alba,
Messi and the
Suarez,
Fantastics.
Messi and the Fantastics, all those guys can trace their youth back to somebody that helped them.
You need a
So, and
mentor, right? That's normal.
everybody, it doesn't matter who you are, bro.
You got to
Everybody
give
has
back.
that. Yeah.
You got to give back, and I think they seem like genuine cool guys, and
Hmm.
they don't seem like do they get preferential treatment? Absolutely, absolutely. You're talking about four guys that are at a level, but do they act like jerks? Or I haven't heard that, and I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
You see that interaction between them, and it seems like it's very friendly. It's cool. Like they're within reach of these players,
Yeah.
and like you said,
If there's anybody on the squad that is resentful that they lost maybe their starting position or their sub opportunities because of any of these four guys, because of the Messi and Fantastics taking minutes, you know what, bro? This if you can either be resentful or you can take it as an opportunity to
to
learn from those
grow. Yeah,
guys,
grow.
and at the same time be ready because you know that eventually you're gonna might have to get subbed in for one of these guys,
No, they're
and
going to.
you don't want the team to feel like it took a step down because you went into the game.
No, you
So you should
these
take it
guys.
as a challenge.
Yeah, you should. You should. They need to do that, and you need to understand that these guys are gonna have to be managed. What's a
Yeah.
thing I took from this tour? You know what?
Hmm.
Luis Suarez, after the third game, they said he started to get a little inflammation on his knee. That's why they held him out, right?
Of course, they're gonna have to manage his minutes a lot.
So in the season, I'm thinking 1, 2 games, and I
Hmm.
don't think personally I wouldn't play him 90 minutes. I'd play him 60, 65
Yeah.
max. Give him a rest in between. You need
Hmm.
Campapi. That we haven't talked about Campapi yet, but Campapi
Oh, of
needs to
course.
step up. He's one of those guys that
Hmm.
we can think, okay, can he be resentful? Why he had Higuain before taking his minutes.
Yeah.
Suarez
Look,
me already causing problem. Campana is never gonna get some minutes.
Yeah.
He should be a fantastic. He has
Hmm.
all the tools. The guy is 6'1", right? 6'1", 6'2", hits natural lefty, hits rockets with his left, hits rockets with his right, is one of the top guys in the air.
Hmm.
He has everything to be a star in this league. Why has he not been? Okay, he needs to
Different
he,
reasons,
he
but
But
but he's capable.
he has to do it this season. He's
Yeah,
gonna get playing time because the guys are not gonna hold out the whole year, and they need to play. He's gonna get minutes. Borgelin
yeah.
is gonna get less, but he's gonna get playing time too, and he's a guy that has potential and needs to develop. I mean, they have some massive, massive forwards, right? It's like a basketball team out there.
Oh yeah. That's true. That's true. So let's talk about this Hong Kong game. Obviously, if you watched the game or if you saw some of the highlights afterwards, Messi didn't
I saw it
play.
at 3 in the morning, dude. I was up. I
Yeah,
put the I saw it. You know why? Because I said, "Damn, I'm gonna miss it." I thought they were gonna win. I said, "I'm gonna miss it live, and then I'm gonna know the result, and then it's not the same for me to watch it." And I said, "No, screw it."
yeah,
I woke up, and Sunday felt like it was 3 days because it felt so long because I really didn't get too much sleep after that. I saw the game live. I loved the moment when they were going to switch to the 4-2-3.
hmm,
Obviously, a little disappointed, with Messi not being there, but you understand why because it's the regular
yeah,
season coming up in on the 21st, so it's around the corner,
hmm,
and the other guys on the bench, the people were pissed. The government in Hong
yeah,
Kong is pissed, and they're trying not to pay the whole stipulated amount
yeah,
with reason, right? If you said you're paying this because of Lionel, and he doesn't step on the field against Al Nasser. He originally wasn't on the roster, right? On the
yeah.
game day roster, and then a few minutes later he comes on, and I tweeted that out. I said, "Okay, money talks." They
Of
definitely
course.
didn't want to pay him. These guys said, "You're here. He's here. He better get on that pitch for 10 minutes, walk, whatever. You guys are not
Hmm.
leaving out of here, with this guy not giving us what we paid for." So they put him in there. I
Yeah.
think in China, maybe it was a softer atmosphere, maybe, and
Hmm.
they got away with it. But the people were pissed; they were booing, right? And now the government is coming. Hong Kong government is coming after the team, telling them, we're not paying this. So that's a
We'll
developing,
see. We'll see
story.
how
No,
that
no,
goes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, for the team, the important thing is that Messi recovers because you can't start the season with him.
They sold. I think they sold out that stadium just to watch them
The
practice.
training, the
So I mean,
training,
come on. It's not like nobody got to see Messi.
practice. You talk about practice?
Hey,
Yeah.
bro. Yeah, man. That's you know what? When the Clásico came here to Miami,
Uh huh.
I went to the practice. I got to see Barcelona practice, and then I got to see Real Madrid practice. Bro, that's an amazing experience. If you've never seen those
Absolutely.
guys play live, that's an
Up
amazing
close. Yeah.
experience.
I don't know.
Yeah, man.
I agree. I agree with you 100%. Now, in regards to the game, I think you got some positives, and
Hmm.
seeing the young guys step up, the young guys show that they can be on that pitch with these guys, that they can hold their own.
Yeah.
Gregory is a big plus because he looks like he's back to his
Mhm.
normal self of running all over the place, touching the ball, moving, being
I remember
aggressive.
last year when he was out. That was one of your main points is that he was needed out there,
He
and that was a
covers
big
everybody's.
loss.
He covers.
Mhm.
It's when you have that type of player, he covers everybody's back. He runs nonstop. He's very passionate. He's a
Mhm.
leader, and he's one of those leaders that does it showing you. If he's telling you, "I need your passion. I need you to give it all. I need you to leave all your sweat on the field," and he does it. He'll tell you, but he does it. And,
Yeah.
and you need those type of leaders, and Miami was lacking that. I liked, I liked Ryan Saylor getting some minutes. Unfortunately, Kristoff has looks like it's a nagging
Mhm.
groin injury, but that could be the little crack in the door that Saylor needs to get minutes and actually because he played well.
Mhm.
He showed that he can man the position. He showed, and it's not the first time he scored a header, for the team. He's done that
Yeah.
before. He gave a heads up assist. That goal where he made the assist, it's if you have to look at the entirety of that play, you see him. If you see Campapi has the ball, you see Sailor with the heads up step back
Mm.
into the onside position, and then the ball goes over and he comes back in. Like he was aware. Some other dummy might have just stand there, but I don't know why he went relegated to the bench completely for Capapi. One of the guys in the booth, I kind of had a discussion with him last season, and I told him I don't think Ryan Saylor is any less than Toto Aviles. And he was like, "Oh, you
Mm.
fucking crazy! You're crazy. This guy's much better." I told him I don't think he's much better. If he's better, he might be better. I don't really think he's much better because what I've seen from Saylor in the past, I thought he was a really solid player, and he's a young guy. I'm not
Yeah.
saying he's going to play for Barcelona or Real Madrid, but I think he would be suited just fine. And I like that moxie of coming in off the bench when you're like the fifth, sixth string now because like
Yeah.
Tata doesn't even pay attention to him. He comes in, plays a hell of a game, gets that header, has the assist. You know, normally
Hmm.
that would be man of the match, right? Uh,
Yeah.
I
So when you're
like
that guy that's like fifth or sixth in line on the bench, whenever you get your opportunity, you have to take advantage because that's the only way the coach is gonna remember. Oh, last time I brought this guy off the bench, he was awesome. Let me give him another opportunity.
I
Or
tweeted that. I tweeted that. You know,
Mhm.
Sailor needs to take advantage of the opportunity, and I mentioned Sunderland too, and lo and behold, each one scored a goal, which has worked out awesome.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, these young guys. I think there's more talent on the team that hidden talent, these
Hmm.
gems. I think these young guys are ballers. You know, these young guys are ballers, and they're underestimated. And if they're given the chance, I think they're
Hmm.
going to show it, and people shouldn't be surprised. I mean, even Tyler Hall, he's only 17. This is a 17-year-old kid, and at center back, he went in for a few minutes, only a few minutes, but he came in into that stadium, packed stadium, away from home. You know, everything that you can put
Yeah.
for that game, and he looked comfortable. And those are the things I like to see.
Hmm.
You know, because I'll give you an example. Diego Gomez. Diego Gomez, I think is going to be a hell of a player this season for Miami, developing from last year. But he
Hmm.
said it like he was nervous the first game, and you could see it. You could
Yeah.
see when he got the ball, like he be so. But these guys are like a little. They're built a little different. They're you know they're smooth. They're calm. But Gomez, talking about Gomez, when he comes back to the team, that's a big boost. He kicked ass in the U23 Olympic qualifying in South
Hmm.
America. He looks like he's in shape. He looks like he's
Who does
put
he
it at
play
a
for?
different level.
What country does he play for?
He's from Paraguay. He's from
Okay.
Paraguay, and into Miami they used him a lot with like an eight, right,
Hmm.
box to box. It's I think, man, if you have a guy like Gomez, and then you have Busquets, and then you have Gregory, I think that works great for Busquets because it gives him a lot of freedom, and then it gives
Yeah.
him more chance to float around. And the thing about those other two guys is they're not bad with the ball either. And you know what? They can score because Gregory can score, and
Hmm.
Gomez has shown that he's got a decent little shot and knows how to go forward. So if they go to the 5-3, that would be my three there, right? The 5 3
Yeah.
2. That would be because those guys cover ground. Gomez is like Gregory, a little bigger. You know, they cover
Yeah.
ground all over the place. And I mean, what happens with Gressel? Gressel's shown he's a little bit slow, right? So
Hmm.
he needs to show what he showed before, where his precise passes, his shots, like free kicks, or he needs to show that, and he hasn't yet. Uh, but he needs to show it. He's a good player. He's just a little bit slower than I thought. So like
Yeah.
and I'm a Robert Taylor guy. I heard.
Xavi, here's
And
another message from Cada. He said, I heard today Miami might get Diego Aguirre to replace Farias
I
from
haven't. I
injury.
haven't. Kala's connected, man. He knows more. I haven't.
Yeah.
I've heard a few names. I haven't heard. I'll look into it. But
Hmm.
they're definitely. I think they're. You know, if you see the pieces being moved, they
Hmm.
did these moves with the roster spot, the international roster spots. They're gonna bring people in. They have to bring
Yeah,
people
of
in.
course.
They have to. They need the bodies, and but I
Hmm.
wish they were. They have to hit home runs. They need to hit home runs. Like Farias is a good player, but he wasn't a home run. Toto
Hmm.
Alvarez is a good player, but he wasn't a home run. They need to hit home runs. They need to get some of these
So
guys that are going to come in and surprise.
what would you do? Would you try to get somebody with a little more experience, maybe like from a second division team in Europe, or would you try to get like an up and coming guy from South America?
Man, if they win now, I'd go with the experience. The thing is, it looks
Hmm.
like the team likes the team is business, right? That's why
Yeah.
they took this trip. That's why they're going through all
Hmm.
this stress. That's why the team's a business. They're going to buy these young South American guys to try to
Yeah.
resell them at least twice the cost.
Yeah.
Get some money in. But I would prefer a little more experience. I would have first prefer, and I said it before in the show. Somebody between 22 to 25.
Hmm.
I'm looking around the league, and people are getting center backs from Europe in that range. And guys that are playing. They got Frere, and he was hurt most of the time over there at Olympiacos. So he's
Yeah.
coming now, having to build up again. Get out of that injury and get back into playing shape and back into playing form. So I was wondering, why can't they just get somebody else that's one of those young guys? In MLS, those are the moves that I've been seeing. A lot of young European guys, 21
Hmm.
to 24, and have a little bit of experience, and they're probably just going to walk right in and be able to contribute. So hopefully
Yeah.
this guy does it. He's a big lefty. Kamal left. Now we brought him. Meeting Inter Miami, and let's hope he can fill that void.
All right. So next two games coming up for Inter Miami. They got Vissel Kobe in Japan, and then Newell's Old Boys, which was Messi's childhood team
And Dada, and
here.
Dada, and
And that
Dada.
it. That's right. That's right. Tata's a former team as well here, and they're gonna be playing here at Dry Pink.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. What do you expect for those upcoming
Okay,
games?
that's the Japanese champion, right?
Hmm.
They need to win this last game.
Hmm.
If they win the last two, it's
That's where Iniesta was playing, right?
was he? It could be. I'm not sure.
I think it was.
I'm not sure because if I don't see the Arabian League, I see the Japanese league a little less. I probably know more about the baseball league than they're pretty good. But
Yeah.
they're the champions, right? They're the champs.
Yeah. He was
And
there. He was there until last season.
okay, but Inter Miami needs to go out and win the next two games, or at least show really good form in these games.
Hmm.
So you get the last part of the tour, which is what sticks with the fans and the positivity going in.
Here you go. Iniesta,
Iniesta, Villa,
Villa, and
and now
now Mata.
Mata plays there. Oh, that's pretty solid, man.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
That's pretty solid. They're gonna have their Century Village against our Century Village. Uh, so the Golden Boys reunion there.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Three guys right there. That's big time.
Yeah.
But Miami needs to win. Miami needs to win these two games. Will they? I'm not sure because Messi. I don't think Messi plays this one either.
You don't think he
Uh,
plays in Japan?
if he does, it's just minutes, just few minutes
Yeah.
for the show. For the
Yeah.
show, I think even Suarez, if he's a little bit, you played the young
I
guys.
think I don't think people care about the rest of the Fantastics. If they'll only be upset if Messi doesn't play. If I'm being 100%
The
honest.
star the lead singer is always the star of the show, right? I
Yeah.
mean, I know that Guns N' Roses Slash got a lot of publicity,
Well, that's
with
why him
guitar and
and
stuff,
Axl Rose clashed, bro,
but
because he
but
was
but
getting
Ax-
too much limelight.
he was getting too much, but Axel was still the lead singer. So you got to go with the lead singer. Miami needs to win to at least have good showings to go into the season on a positive, and then to finish off in regards to the article I wrote. There's a lot of players. I mean, you have guys that we need reinforcements, but they're already on the team. They're just injured. I
Yeah.
mean, Franco Negri, when he comes back, he was playing at a high level, going forward. He was one of the guys that works in that 5-3-2. He was one of those guys that works.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, yeah, they leave the space though to come back and counter. But
Yeah.
he's a big guy. He's a guy that goes up and scores and defends well. I think when you get Kramaski back, Kramaski is another guy that just his motor doesn't stop. They have three guys like that, at least in my eyes, which is Gomez, Gregory, and Kramaski. They're similar players where they're very passionate. They're up and down.
Hmm.
They'll bite. They'll whatever they need to do to get that ball, to win that ball, and they're all over the place. And they run for days. So
Yeah.
those two guys are important. Like Mota. Do you know that he could cover when Busquets needs a rest because he did that a lot for Phil Neville. He was the one that was he actually brought
Mm-hmm.
Neville was the one you can credit him for that brought him back to be the guy to connect the midfield, together with the forwards. Mota can do that. So Miami has options. Miami has options.
All right.
They don't. You don't need to panic. Don't need to panic. Keep your head up. Keep smiling.
Which is the premise of your article.
Yeah. I mean, haters are gonna hate. Of course, people want to see. When the team's down, they want to kick you when you're down. But you know what? It's only the preseason. We're talking about practice. If they start off the season with these issues with injuries, with not understanding the tactical, the system that they're using, then we can go all in on Tata and see, where's the work that's being done. It needs to show, and then you have a full deck. He has a full deck. He's like I'm not gonna say Pep Guardiola of MLS because he has the team that's a stacked team. And Guardiola's a great coach, obviously, but you're even greater when you have like amazing players.
Of course.
Inter Miami has a stacked team,
but it's a different job responsibility when you have a stacked team as opposed to when you're having to win. Exactly.
You have to win. You're expected to win. The pressure's there, but that's what it's for. The pressure's there for the team to win it all.
Yeah.
And in order for them to win it all, they got to stay healthy. So that's the biggest thing that Tata's going to have to manage. How to manage those egos and with playing time.
Of course.
Mix it up with the younger guys. Get them their playing time, but get the younger guys to finish off the games.
Yeah. All right, Xavi. So let me get your final thoughts heading into these final 2 preseason matches.
I want them to play the younger guys, but I want to see Messi and the Fantastics get some minutes. I don't know if Messi's going to play this next game. If he's still at risk, you don't play him. I'm pretty sure he's going to save himself for the Newell's game. He wants to get on the field against Newell's. So it's a hunch that he might not play this one for me, and then jump and we'll see him here in against Newell's. They need to play well. They need to show that this trip was not for nothing, not just to take a beating, but to actually find the best system and the best 11, and then get the other guys some playing time and just go into the season full blast. They need to start the season strong.
All right, there we go. So thank you everybody for listening, for watching. Thank you, Gara, for staying on with us all show and giving us your thoughts on the comment section as well. If you missed the show and you want to listen to it, it'll be available in wherever you get your podcast soon, or you can just catch it on our social platforms. You can just restream it. All right, guys, we'll see you next week.
Yes, sir.
Have a good one.